Hello and welcome everyone to the Liberate Meditation Coach Training. We are now in our 12th week, offering your gifts. Today we'll review what it means to be of service. We'll learn about how to use your body in coaching. And lastly, we'll cover the logistics, some of the things that you need to start a successful coaching business. Let's begin by centering ourselves, meditating. Hopefully you're in a comfortable seat, a peaceful place where you won't be disturbed. Your lower half of your body is solid and heavy, moving down towards the earth. And the upper body is bright and light, with the top of the head gently drawing up towards the heavens. You can envision that a balloon is tied to the tip of your head so that you feel that sense of spaciousness and freedom throughout your entire spine. And then you can gently rock your head forward and back, left to right, just to find that place that's in the middle where there's no effort at all to keep your head right above the spine. And just become aware of where your attention is right now. And see if you can gently bring all of your attention here into the present moment. Deep inside your physical body. Taking a breath, inhale and exhale. Feeling a wave of relaxation move through the whole body. Again, breathing in, inhale. Expanding with your in-breath. And then exhale. Release all stress and tension. Let go of your day so that you can fully arrive. And let's take one last breath, inhaling. Gently holding at the top, centering all of your energy. And exhale, letting go. Taking this time to tune into your intention, your inspiration, that which you're grateful for. If you like, you can tune into the inspiration for becoming a meditation coach. What's your purpose, your intention for becoming a meditation coach? As you easily breathe in and breathe out, noticing what comes to you easily, spontaneously, letting the joy bubble up from within. For the next minute, take this time to gently focus on your breath. Just for 1 minute, completely focusing deep within your breath. If you'd like, you can count the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale. Good. Now, gently releasing the focus on your breath and just being aware of any subtle shifts within your body, your mind, your emotional state. Noticing how just a minute of paying attention to your breath can cause a shift within. Gently invite your attention to your heart center and let your attention, your energy rest in your heart. Become aware of the quality of sensation within your heart center. See if it helps you to breathe into the back of the heart and out through the front of your heart. Breathing in through the back and softening as you breathe out through the front of your heart. Paying attention to this part of your body without any judgment, just noticing. And seeing if within this space, if there's any places that feel inaccessible, perhaps a little tight. Notice what helps you to fully relax into the space within your heart. If you like, you can imagine a candle flame that's burning right in the center of your heart, warming the whole area within your center. What would it be like to feel free, completely free in your heart? Let your imagination guide you in this experience. Perhaps it feels easier to breathe, to smile, even to relax. What would it feel like to be completely free in my body? Again, allowing the imagination to take over, connecting to even a sense of freedom in your body. See if you can relax into this feeling of freedom in your body. Surrendering to feeling free in your heart, in your body, in your energy. What would it be like to be free in your mind? surrendering to true freedom, to true self. What is that experience like? Knowing that this is always accessible to us, no matter what we're going through, what's happening with our body, our energy. There's always this opportunity to shift our attention, to shift our focus. And let's take this time to close this meditation with a simple intention. Let this be the intention that you came up with at the beginning of the course. Silently repeating this intention. Allow it to reverberate through your body, through the field, and allow yourself to radiate this intention. And so it is. Thank you so much for joining me in that guided meditation. As a meditation coach, a teacher, a healer, you are scaling new heights. It requires trailblazing, pioneering, going into unknown territory, and also being a risk taker, not just in your work as a business, but as a coach when you're working with your clients. When you feel that something is important that is arising in a session with your client or within their consciousness, stay present to it. Be willing to make the space for things that seem important to your client's growth. And be willing to share from the highest vibration, the highest place that you're sensing and you're feeling. And be willing to challenge the habits and blocks that your client might be experiencing, whether it's obvious or it's subtle. And you can do this by showing up fully as yourself, as who you are. If they've made an arrangement to work with you, they've made an arrangement to work with all of you, all aspects of you. So bring it all. Bring all that you got when you're working in this creative, sacred art with someone else. And oftentimes you are taking someone beyond what they already know, what they've already done. And they're trusting you to go there with them. So recognize this. You don't have to play it small or be small or try to fit within any construct. The more you stay in your own practice, the more you trust yourself, you listen to intuition, you listen to that soft inner voice, the more you're going to be naturally guided to help other people expand and go beyond their own limitations, go beyond their own ideas of themselves, their perceptions of life. And this is part of your work as a coach. So really bring all of who you are to a session. Don't feel like you have to close parts of yourself down or act within a certain construct. Be free and full and fluid in who you are, because that's a gift. And your client's going to sense that, your full presence, your full awareness, being all there. Whether you say things that they like or not, that's another matter. But, you know, it's important that you stay inside that real, raw place with someone else, because that's where the real transformation, the real magic happens. Know that healing can be anything. It's infinite what you can do within a healing session. We've gone over techniques, we've gone over tools that you can use, practices, but your experience might take you beyond what you've learned. And trust yourself when you're being taken beyond that, because there's a lot of different kinds of healing energies, healing medicine. Sometimes healing can be sharp. Other times it's soft and nurturing. Sometimes the energy is congruent or agreeable. Other times it can be very rebellious. And as a healer, it's important to be able to tune into the moment of what's needed. Again, we worked with tools and practices, but it's really about being in the moment, acting on what feels right within the moment. And that's where you're going to receive guidance for the most appropriate action or non-action to take. I don't know if you've seen, I don't remember the name of this movie. It was Luke Wilson. And he plays this character in a movie where he just messes everything up. Everywhere he goes, things fall apart. He says the wrong thing. He does the wrong thing. And he plays the role of the trickster, the fool, the comedic one. And through the movie, you see that through all of his inappropriate, wacky behavior, how much it actually reveals about the reality of the situation within that movie. So he, within that context, acts as a healer because he's bringing true balance to a situation. Anything that isn't solid is going to fall apart. And sometimes we don't know that we say a certain thing or we act in a certain way and we're not quite sure why. And you might have experienced this where you're on a train and you're sitting next to someone, all of a sudden you feel compelled to speak to them and you tell them something that you didn't expect to tell them. And it was exactly what they needed to hear. It was the healing medicine that they needed to hear. And this is the state that we're allowing ourselves to go into when we're entering into these agreements to work with individuals or groups. And in a sense, this is almost a state of, you could call it channeling or improv. It's just a very clean state of being purely in the moment. And when you allow yourself to live inside this place, because the moment is the only place that there is to create and heal, to manifest, then it's a very powerful place to be. So don't be afraid to go out of the box and to try something new and to shake things up and to take risks, to be daring, to be creative, because this is really a creative art, and this is what we're learning through this practice and trusting that inner voice. Another thing to note is that healing can be anything. So it can make symptoms better. It can make them worse. It can make the events in our life seem better or worse. And it's important to be aware of this, that it's not a linear line that goes at a 45-degree angle up. It's sometimes it's down and then it's up. And I think many of you have experienced that when you are healing and you're getting over the flu. Sometimes you feel worse before you get better because you're releasing all the toxins. And in healing, that release of toxins takes energy, whether it's physical, emotional, or energetic. It's going to take some energy and it can wear you out. So you might not feel as good, but to trust that process of recovery. So sometimes healing can cause a lot of change, a lot of movement, growth, discomfort, upheaval, chaos. So just be aware that this is part of the creative process. In the creative process, there is chaos that moves towards order at times, and then there's order that moves towards chaos. And it's just this process. This is the process that we're holding people through when we work with them. And you'll know intuitively if you're moving towards a higher place because you feel it in your body and you just sense it. Even though it might not look how you expect it to look within the mind, you know that you're being moved or your client's being moved to a higher place. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And this is so true. If you are leading, if you're guiding, if you're coaching, whatever you might be with a group or individuals, if you sense that there's an energy that's needed, for example, if you have a group and you're just starting a meditation and there's a lot of energy in the room, it feels like there needs to be a little bit more relaxation or ground, then you tap into that. You start to channel and commit yourself to relaxation and ground. So we don't wait for everybody else to do it, but we choose that. We recognize it. We see it if we're leading, and then we choose to be that energy that's needed. So just remember that. And this is something that I really learned in yoga, with just starting out with a lot of nerves, new class, new people. Maybe I would feel nervous or anxious, and allowing myself to anchor, giving myself that space to deeply anchor to my own center of peace. I don't have to worry about making other people feel peace. I give that space to myself fully and wholly so that I can start tapping into that vibration to let it flow into the space. And know that your meditation always counts every day. Your meditation practice transmits in everything that you do, you know, in your classes, in your sessions. That is something that I would say, I don't know if this is the correct way to say it, but it banks. You know, you're creating an energy bank when you commit to your practice. And people will sense it on some level, conscious or unconscious, if you're really practicing what you're sharing. They'll sense it on some level, that incongruency, or if there's an alignment, people will feel it in the vibration of your voice, your energy, that resonance. So that's how we transmit the spirit of meditation. We're being of service to others, and we know that we're not giving advice, we're not solving people's problems. We don't have to fix our client. We assume our client is already whole and healthy. We affirm that for them, their wholeness and their own health, their own ability to have their own choices and decisions. We're not the ones with the answers. Our clients are the ones with their own answers. So the pressure is off on us to have to do something. We can put in a conscious effort, but it doesn't have to be, it's not on us. What we're responsible for is creating that sacred space, being a conduit for truth, for expression, for communication to come through, creating that safe space for deepest self, innermost self to come through. We can offer them encouragement, we can offer them support, validation, but all the people we work with, they are their own leaders of their own consciousness, their own authority, their own author of their story. And they are wholly responsible for the choices that they make in their life and for the choices that they come to in their sessions with you. So be aware, serve them from an empowered place from within yourself. We know we're serving from an empowered place when we feel solid and centered. We feel whole, we feel balanced. We don't feel like we're having to contort ourselves or have to twist ourselves or have to compromise any part of ourselves to serve another human being. So we know we're helping from that empowered place when we feel that center within ourselves. We don't have to abandon our body. We don't have to, do these other things that make us feel funny or twisted. And to be conscious that the way we are working with our clients is empowering them as well. I think that as coaches, as light workers, as healers, we're naturally optimistic. We tend to be at times, I know I am, idealistic. You want to see those positive outcomes for your clients. And it's really important that while we encourage and support our clients, that we're mindful, and we're mindful of our own desire to influence. our client. However subtle or overt that might be, know that your client is living in his or her own life, and what you might see or feel as a positive direction, either for yourself or your client, is one thing, but where your client actually is and what they feel ready for is their own. So just be aware. I think the gift we can give them is the clarity, the feedback, the pure coaching. But anytime we go into advice giving or a little bit of influencing or putting our opinion in there, it's something to just really pay attention to. And again, you want to be your full self, but we assume that our clients have their answers. They're within themselves. So let them lead. Let them lead their own process. Let them make their own decisions. Let's say that you did somehow influence or encourage in a certain direction for your client. Well, we all know what that's like when someone has told us what they think that we should do. Have you ever been in that situation when somebody told you what they think you should do? And then when it didn't work out, what happened? You blame them, right? You made them responsible for the choice you made and the experience that you had. And this is what can happen when, you know, that clarity of decision making or guidance is coming from different places. So being able to hold that space of neutrality, no matter how enticing one option might really seem or how obvious it might be for a client, that you're able to stay in a place of center and neutrality, stay in a place of detachment. And I think that when we start to feel that urge and that attachment to a result, to just take a breath, you know, bring in some spaciousness, bring in some ground and center, and just be aware of our own responses, our own reactions, inner reactions to our clients' process. This is how meditation coaching can really be helpful, is that, you know, you're also not just focusing on the other, you're also having an awareness of yourself through meditation coaching. Free will and autonomy is so important. And as humans, our greatest power is our freedom of choice. We're so free that we're even given the choice to believe that we are not free. Because we can choose our beliefs, we can choose our thoughts, our attitudes, our feelings, our friends. We can choose our work, everything in life. And we get to choose how we feel about it, how we are with it, how we accept it or we don't accept it. In every single moment, in this present moment, we are free to choose. We are powerful beyond what we can even imagine with our free choice. And we can create every aspect of our own experience based on where we are internally and what we choose to think, feel, and be. A good way of helping our clients, serving our clients to make right decisions for themselves is to guide them to their own experience, guide them back into their body, What does that feel like? Does that feel good for you in your body? Does that resonate for you? Because you could be put in a situation where the client really asks you what you think. That's happened a lot in previous situations. And to remember to reflect back. If they try to put that on you, say, well, what does that feel like for you? You're empowering them to connect to their own free will and their freedom of choice. What does your heart say? What would feel free to you? What feels peaceful to you? These are some questions that we can ask. Freedom and autonomy is important for any healthy working relationship, pretty much any relationship. Not just for your client, but also for you. If you ever find yourself feeling enmeshed or entangled or a bit sticky with the people that you work with, take that time to step back. Work with your tools. Work with the energy tools that we learned. Grounding, conscious separation, golden suns. Work with those energy tools because that will help you release some of the sticky parts, the sticky areas of entanglement, if that's what it feels like, and allow you to feel yourself again, to feel whole and full. So if at all you ever feel compromised or a little uneven after being with people, maybe it's when you've worked with clients, come back to your own center. Reconnect to yourself in the moment. And I think it's this practice of release and completion that allows us to move within the flow. Stay within a flow within ourselves. Consciously letting go, completing energy, moving on to the next thing. And anything that you do, whether it's coaching or work or running errands, it's important to give yourself that space to just come back. So think about free will and autonomy, how important that is in all relationships. Create sacred space. Coaching is very similar to creating a space to grow plants, vegetables. If you were to plant a garden, you'd have a boundary, a fenced-in area that keeps other animals or insects, whatever it might be, from disturbing the new growth, so that these things can take root and they can flower and they can bear fruit. And this is how we create sacred space when we work with people. We have that safe space for them. And one of the ways that we are in that space with them is by deeply listening and really putting aside everything that might be in our own mind that we can be distracted with to be fully present with our clients. And when we can be in a present, clear state with our clients, they feel that. And if you listen in this way from a centered place, from a clear place, from a place with no agenda, no other thoughts, it actually allows your clients to positively shift and also hear themselves more clearly. Even hear sometimes their own intuition within the presence of being with you as well. So again, it's like holding that charge, that conduit for truth and energy to flow through. And we really develop that space inwardly when we're practicing every day. But when you go to this place of listening, you also invite your client to go into that place within themselves. And when we listen to them without being attached to our own response, what are we going to say? What are we going to do? Again, it helps clients, people listen to themselves in a fresh, new way. And that's a gift. Agreements and healthy boundaries are very healing. And if you think about it, trauma and stress come from broken agreements, whether they're spoken or unspoken agreements. So, for example, you might have come in with the agreement or understanding that you would be safe in your body. And if someone perpetrates that agreement, that is a broken agreement. If somebody breaks trust with you, that's a broken agreement. So you can tend to understand the health of an individual also by how they are with their agreements with themselves, with other people. If someone's constantly breaking agreements or boundaries, it's often a sign of trauma or not really understanding the level of space that they need and time that they need to complete and honor those agreements. And because these broken agreements happen in relationship, healing is very effective in relationship to others. So yes, we can heal on our own, but in trauma, if we are within a vibration with certain things in our life, it really helps to have another person's presence to help anchor in that vibration of health or clarity, whatever energy you want to call that. It helps to have that energy present as they're releasing any old wounds, old blocks, old trauma. And what you'll find is that as people heal, it's much easier for them to honor their agreements, to practice healthy boundaries with themselves, with other people. So this is something to be aware of and to know that agreements and healthy boundaries are part of the healing and the coaching process. They're instrumental. Even though a healer is unlimited, who you are is unlimited, it's also important to know what your limits are. Understand what you're willing to do as a coach and what you're not willing to do as a coach. If you feel that your client keeps coming back to their own wounds, their own traumas again and again, and their coaching agreement with you, you might want to seriously then think about referring them to a psychotherapist or a therapist. You might not be in the position to really serve your client, and it might not be serving your energy as well. If you feel like you've been working with your client for a long time and you just aren't making progress, the energy's becoming stagnant, check in with your client. Ask them, how they think the coaching arrangement's going. Consider taking a break, letting them go. I remember once I had a client when I was in LA, and at one point, and I just want to say too that if you feel frustration, it's likely that your client also feels frustration. So just kind of assume that whatever underlying emotional feeling that you're feeling about the coaching arrangement, they are also likely feeling. And I once had a client, it just felt really stuck every time we met. it just felt like we weren't going anywhere. And I can't remember if I did share this story before, but at one point he even said, I don't think this is working. I'm not, nothing's happening from these sessions. And I said, okay. I just kind of listened and I said, why don't we just take a break? And I really understood that because I felt that too. I could see that no progress was being made in our coaching agreement. And, he also during that time was critical of my coaching style and approach, really kind of disregarding of my ability. And so that was something else that I noticed, was that he was also saying, well, I think it's because of you that we're not moving forward. So these are things that I was paying attention to. And I said, that's great. Why don't we take a break? And lo and behold, and we ended up taking just a kind of a permanent break from that point. I ran into him a year later. And I had no idea what happened to him, but I ran into him a year later and he was like a different person. And he was vibrant, he was glowing, he looked transformed. And he said, oh my God, Surah, I have to tell you that after we stopped our coaching agreement, I decided to go to India because that was his dream, was to travel to India and study meditation. And he said, I went to India, it changed my whole life, blah, blah, blah. So he tells me about how the whole sequence of events of stopping our coaching agreement actually helped him have this transformation. And I would have never known that this had happened because in a sense, you almost feel that when we stop our agreement, it's almost like that failed or that didn't work out. And you never know what's going to catalyze for someone on the other side. It's just knowing that when something's not really working out. And not only that, he was at that time also really struggling in work and business. And we ended up becoming LinkedIn connections several years later. And I saw that his business became so big that he sold his business to another company. And this was him. I knew him when he was really struggling. And I was just astounded by his level of success. And I'm not saying that all of that success came from just our coaching, but that you never know what happens to someone on their path. You might just be one stepping stone for them. We don't have to be healers for everybody. It's good to tune in and see, is it right for me to work with this person? Is this a good use of time and energy? Is this conducive to growth, to progress? These are some questions to ask yourself. Also, if a coaching agreement doesn't feel conducive, if it doesn't feel productive or joyful, really think about that. I mean, for myself personally, because coaching, I know that coaching is expensive. You're using time, there's money that's involved. I personally will not engage someone in a further coaching arrangement with me if I don't feel these qualities of it being conducive, productive, and joyful. Now that's my own that's my limit, that I set for myself. I'm also not invested in having clients for long periods of time. I understand that they might want to work with me for some time. They might go away, integrate the things that we work together, and they might come back. But I'm not invested in having them sign on year after year as a client. And also, that's your own thing that you've got to decide for yourself as a coach. If you feel at any time that your client is projecting intensely towards you with a lot of judgment, blame, or criticism, that's another thing you really got to think about. I feel that when it affects your personal well-being, that's a huge red flag. That's something I pay attention to. So what I'll feel is that if this coaching arrangement is affecting me on a personal level, it's compromising my own sense of well-being, then I will discontinue that coaching arrangement. I don't feel like I'm serving someone when there is a toxic connection that's happening, if it feels at all abusive, because that person's been abused. I remember that Martha Beck once said that you know somebody's been abused because you just want to hit them. And it was kind of funny, but it's, you know, there's always an element of truth to comedy. And when you feel like that abuse is being projected back towards you, you know, and your energy tools, the things that you're working with don't seem to be effective, then it's something to just really consider, sit with, and meditate on. So if something feels really taxing, if it's affecting your personal well-being, if it's affecting your energy, if it's draining you on a daily basis, to be conscious of it. I don't feel like I'm serving someone when it's affecting me negatively. That's how I personally feel, but you might choose otherwise. You might choose to work through a lot of hard, dense energy. And that's perfectly okay. It's what you are able to handle, what you're able to sustain, what feeds you. So that's why it's important to just know where you're at, what you're willing to do as a coach, and what you're not willing to do. Somatic awareness. You can know if a decision is a right decision, an aligned decision, based on how it feels in your body. The body doesn't lie. It's a truth meter. And you can also guide your clients through this process of connecting back into their own body. Soma means body, and body awareness is such a wonderful tool to use in coaching. You being aware inside your own body can inform you during your coaching process with other people. So you being able to track your own body, know your own body's energy is instrumental to reading other people's body and energy. So for example, if you feel like you've lost connection to presence in your own body, that could be a sign that your client is experiencing a trigger or perhaps a hot spot. A hot spot meaning trauma. And when this happens, make sure that you pull yourself back into your own body if you sort of felt like you had an out-of-body experience, and then gently suggest that the client connect back to their own body by asking them what they're feeling in their body and where they're feeling it. And track that experience in your body with them. So when you do this, you're connecting your client to his or her own authentic experience, whatever that might be. And you also facilitate healing for your client. You allow them, by raising that awareness of what's happening in their body, to move through an energetic or emotional pattern associated to a block, a sensation, whatever they're experiencing. So asking things like, what are you noticing in your body when you talk about that? Being curious. What does that feel like in your body? Where do you feel that in your body? Inviting your client to connect to their feelings, their emotions, their sensations in their own body is a powerful process. It raises awareness, it unlocks energy, and it helps to facilitate energy flow, chi, prana within the body. This is also referred to as somatic experiencing. So we're going to try this together as a group and a bit of guided meditation. So wherever you are, let yourself find a comfortable seat. Adjust everything so that you feel completely comfortable and at ease. Let's take a few breaths together, breathing in all the way in to your lower belly and exhaling, letting go. Breathing in, filling up the whole core of the body with your breath, and exhaling, breathing out. And we'll take one more breath like that just to become clear, present as you breathe in and exhale. Let it all go. Let yourself relax and settle into your center. Now bring your attention to something that you've personally been struggling with lately, that's been difficult for you personally. And as you invite your awareness there, start to become aware of the sensations in your body. Gently focusing on that difficulty. Observe where you feel the energy moving or not moving. Just observe without any judgment. As you focus on this difficult situation, what is the quality of sensation in your body? What are you experiencing in your body? Now bring your attention to your breath. What is your breath like? As you tune into your breath more and more, does it help to shift the quality of your energy around that situation? And just being aware if your body feels open, constricted, if you feel tension or knots. Still keeping your attention on that difficult situation. What's the emotional tone that you feel? Just the first thing that comes to mind. If it were a color in your body, what would it be? And what would help that part of your body feel a little more relaxed? Breathing, allowing, being aware without judgment. See if you start to notice any kind of unwinding or releasing as you bring more conscious attention to those parts of your body. Perhaps even a new sense of balance in that area, or lightness, a spaciousness. Okay, now let that go and start to bring your attention to an experience in your life that brings you great joy and happiness. It could be an experience in your past or in your present. As you tune into that experience, notice what it feels like in your physical body. Where do you feel it most in your physical body? What is the quality of sensation? Use as many words as you can to describe this quality of sensation. And what is the emotional tone of that feeling? If it were a color, what would it be? And just be aware of how you feel and experience the energy moving through your body as you focus on joy. Noticing, enjoying, being, and breathing. Okay, as you're ready, if you like, you can open your eyes if your eyes are closed. And we've just completed that somatic exercise. Inviting people to connect to their inner feelings, their own sensations, helps them to become more self-aware. And again, healing trauma can feel fragmented, jagged, buzzy, hot, sticky. And especially if you're giving an energy healing, you might feel some of these sensations yourself. And being neutral, staying grounded, will help you and your client to move through some of these lower vibrational energies to help clear them. And higher energy, healing energy, tends to have a smooth, fluid, flowing, light feeling. And you'll notice a lighter tone, a more spacious tone. You might notice too that you could be practicing somatic awareness with your client and they won't have a very big vocabulary for what they're experiencing and what they're feeling. So you might say, "How does that feel?" And they'll actually say, tight. And maybe they won't have any more words aside from tight. And this is often what happens when people don't have a very strong connection, oftentimes, to their body. They might not know how to express really what they're feeling or what they're sensing. And that's perfectly okay. That's normal. So with time, as people connect more into their body, they will start to expand the words, the vocabulary, the sensations, the qualities. They'll start to expand that language. The more they become connected to what they're feeling, what they're sensing, things of that nature. So the more we can start to distinguish and determine our different feeling states, the more self-aware we become, and this helps us to develop self-mastery. Tracking is something that I've defined as self-meditating while coaching. This might be practicing the practice of mindfulness as you're coaching another person. And it's really having a level of awareness within yourself as you're coaching. So it's almost like you're in a meditative state, being aware of your own sensations, your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own emotions, all of these things that are happening within you as you're coaching someone else. Because as you become aware of what's happening within you, you start to become aware of where perhaps some of your blocks might be, or where you're at, or what you might be picking up, or what you might be resonating with, matching together with your client. So you want to be always within the center of yourself while working with someone else. Be aware when you start to lose yourself in somebody else's process, and then invite yourself back into center. And again, since many of us are sensitive and we're empathic, it's easy to pick up the feelings and emotions of other people, and sometimes even mistake those emotions and feelings from our own. So the more that you're able to make the distinction between which energy is yours or someone else's, the easier it becomes. The more clear you are, the easier it is for you to read the energy, to be intuitive. And again, it's the tools of grounding and centering that help you to really know what's yours. And on the other hand, another thing to be aware of is that you'll know where your client is based on what you feel and sense in your own body. So if you feel a big shift happening in your body, pay attention to it. An energy shift, notice it. And again, the body stores vital information. The cells of the body store everything. And it stores memories, for example. So if there's been trauma, it'll be locked in certain places of the body, and those parts of the body become less fluid and connected to other parts of the body. So it's just something to be aware of, because it's a self-defense mechanism. We kind of shut down or contract when we go through trauma or stress, and we can lose access, or I would say vitality flow, in organs and cells in our body and parts of our body. And really, with coaching and healing, you're gaining full access to yourself, your body. And be aware, our body decays, we get into accidents, stuff happens. Nobody's body's perfect. and our energy changes day to day. So it's nothing to be judgmental of. Always just stay open and aware, but we can use our bodies as instruments for healing. So in coaching, we're opening the levels of awareness. Our body is home base, and we use body-centered awareness. Or you could say whole somatic awareness. And having this mind, body, energy awareness is empowering to ourselves and also to our clients. As you're guiding meditation, remember to stay present in your own physical body. Notice if you start to feel absent or you kind of pop right into your head. And a good way of being able to stay present in your physical body is to be aware of where you're speaking from. Where are you guiding from? And I've recently started learning singing online, super fun. And I love learning about, how singers access their voice, because they'll actually reach down deep into their gut to sing. And there's a difference between singing from your face and singing from your gut. And same goes for leading meditation. Noticing when you're speaking from your core, speaking from deep inside yourself, or when it feels like it's coming more out of your nose. And it's just right above the shoulders only. So just being aware of that, because I think so many of the meditation practices today tend to be more above the shoulders and, going up versus going down and up. And it really helps you to stay connected when you're aware of that space. And then remember that as you're guiding meditation, it really helps when you can guide them to their sensory experience. If you ask, what does peace feel like in your body? Where is it in your body? What color would it be? Start to engage that experience even more to connect them more deeply into it, to connect to their bodies, because it helps to enhance that meditative experience of being present in the moment. And also it starts to get them engaged in the meditation when you start to ask those questions. What is that quality? Does it feel smooth? Is it rough? When you hear noises, is it soft? And just kind of guide those experiences. That helps people to become even more present to their own experience. So just remember, stay aware of yourself at all times. It serves you and it serves everybody around you. Sometimes when we're going through something tough, it feels natural to hold our breath. It feels natural to tense up. But remember, the universe loves it when you breathe deep, when you breathe full, when you relax. When you relax, when you breathe deep, it sends that energy out into your field. It goes into the collective universal bank. And that's where you're at a higher level of performance, a higher level of awareness, is when you're connected to your breath, you're connected to your body, you're connected to the moment. So just remembering to stay aware. Okay, now I apologize because I realize we're probably going to go over time, but I really want to go over in depth what it means to create a successful coaching business. And I don't want to sugarcoat this for you at all. I want to be real. It is a lifestyle commitment to have a successful coaching business. And oftentimes people go and they get their training, they get their certification, and then they're left to their own devices as to how to even create a business. Because it's one thing to be a coach, and it's another thing to become a business owner, to suddenly have to know about costs, infrastructure, accounting, bookkeeping, marketing, web development, all these other aspects that you are now becoming responsible for developing a coaching business. So it's more than just a job change. When you decide to become a coach, it's also a vocation. I mean, people are called to become a coach. They're called to be of service. Nobody really goes into coaching for the money. You know, the money might come and the money can follow, but it takes a lot of wheels in motion to create a successful business. And it's something to understand and to be prepared for. So remember that becoming a coach is an investment of your time and your energy. It takes time to build a practice, to have a community of people to reach out to. But don't be discouraged, because this is part of the process. It takes time for people to know who you are and what you're doing. And the upside is that you can do it from anywhere. You can coach in your pajamas if you want to, you know, anytime, any place, that type of thing. And you can create your business in any way that you want. You can be creative, and there are no limits. And you can work as much as you want. You can work as little as you want. But the other side to know is that it takes time, and that you need patience, perseverance, and be low on expectations when it comes to this. So let's take a time for a bit of centering meditation to help us focus in a different way towards what it means to create a business from coaching. Let yourself relax fully into your body, all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. And then breathe in from the bottoms of your feet all the way up through your physical body to the top of the head. And then exhale all the way back down past your feet. Take a few more clearing breaths like that, breathing in all the way up to the top of the head, and exhaling, breathing back down. And one more time, breathing in all the way up and exhaling all the way back down. Imagine now yourself as a meditation coach. What is it like? What starts to come to you as you imagine being a meditation coach? Does it feel close or far away? Does it feel palpable, exciting, nerve-wracking? Notice what inner feeling starts to arise as you envision yourself as a meditation coach. Do you accept yourself as a coach? Do you accept yourself as a healer? What does coaching mean to you? Is it a calling, a vocation, a job? Is it a true representation of who you are and what you want to create in the world? Breathing in, breathing out. Do you believe at your core that you can do what you love and make good money doing it? Just noticing what's arising. Can you see yourself as a successful meditation coach? Are you willing to see yourself as a successful meditation coach? What would it be like to be successful at coaching? What does it feel like? What's that experience like? Let yourself access it. Go deep there. Who are you working with? What's your work environment like? What's the flow of your day like? Are you working with a few people or groups? Just seeing what would feel good in your body. Relaxing and breathing, imagining, envisioning. In an ideal world without any limitation, how much money would you make from coaching? What feels like an authentic price for your services? Just being present to exactly what arises without judgment, total acceptance. What is a price that would serve you and serve your clients? See what happens when you allow that first thing to come to your mind. Or notice what happens if nothing yet comes to mind. And just a few more questions. about the quality of your offering. What do you see as your core offering for your work? What are you passionate about? Do you see your business as a result of your own personal imprint, your own personal vibration? Is your soul infused into your business? What else comes up when you think about working as a meditation coach? Being a meditation coach? What's your inspiration for becoming a meditation coach? Let yourself connect to this purpose and meaning. Let it anchor you in your personal practice. Thank you. You can always come back to these questions in the guided meditation. But these are some things to meditate on, to contemplate on. As you move forward and you decide to become a pro at the work that you offer, know that it takes commitment, it takes effort, and consistency. These are all important elements of having a successful business. Some questions you can ask yourself is, do I really want to do this? How committed am I to making this happen? What can I do to raise the awareness around the work that I offer? So if you're starting a business, think about a structure, a protocol to get your business up and running. And if it means making 3 to 5 calls a day, taking those actual action steps, reaching out to organizations, connecting with people that would be able to open this channel of work for you. Remember always that the magic is in the action. And that just because you put up a website, you've gone through the training, people are not psychic. They're not going to just know all of a sudden that you're a coach and you have all these awesome things to offer. There's much more that you have to do beyond creating a website. Marketing is a continual effort, a continual action. And if you think marketing is too daunting, think of it as sharing who you are, putting it out there as an offer, inviting people to know what you love to do. inviting people to know how they can benefit from working with you. And as I mentioned before, don't be afraid to be specific. Just because you're specific doesn't mean that locks you down to anything. Think about how many clients would you like to work with, or do you need to work with? How much do you want to charge per client? How many hours are you willing to put in each week? So these are just some things to think about. There are essentials to starting a business. It's important to have a web presence these days. Everybody's online. Social media. You can have ads such as Google ads or Facebook ads. You can start to learn about that. Go to conferences or trade shows. But really what you need is a willingness to connect with people. And what I'd say is that you need to hit the road, hit the phone. Those are some of the two most important things. Be on the road, meet with people physically, talk to them, have lunch with them, have tea, have coffee, treat them out. Be exchanging and speaking with people, because that's where the opportunities come from. Pick up the phone every single day. Talk to people. It's not like you have to push anything to them. It's more about just letting them know this is what you're doing. This is what you're up to. If there's any way you can help, if they like, they can engage you in a free coaching engagement. You can go speak to their company for an hour for free so that they know what you have to offer, because people don't always get everything that they need from your website. It's different when you meet people in person. And it creates a greater connection when you're connecting with people in person. And this is also why participation and exchange is also important as part of our training. It's how do we stay open within the context of meditation and healing? How do we express ourselves? How do we communicate? How do we reach out? How do we offer and have people understand how we can benefit them? So oftentimes you might have to go right out of your comfort zone. And, a lot of people that are in this line of work, they tend to be more introverted and they don't like to be a self-marketer or a self-promoter. And that's something that you really do have to start to come to terms with. I think being a meditation coach is a perfect balance between yin and yang. Having the yang, the energy to take action, to put yourself out there, to make human contact with people. And think of it as sharing the love of what you do and what you have to offer. It's not like you're selling a car, for example. A car is a great experience, but you're offering something that's unique, that's different, and people need to understand tangibly how it can help them. So healing requires us to get out of our own way, and so does marketing. We got to get out of our own way. And the key is to really be creative. Find those unexpected partnerships, unlikely partnerships. What are they? Alliances. Speak to as many people as you can. What I do suggest is that you do what you can to get yourself out there. You might have to start in the beginning to offer some free services, but the more experience you have, the more confident you'll become. And it takes practice, it takes discipline, it takes consistency. And like anything else, if you just try to dabble in this work, do it a few months, and try it, you're not going to get very far. Go at your own speed, do what feels right to you. But I've seen a lot of people dip their toe into coaching, and instead of doing what it really takes to be successful, to really serve people, they just say, oh, well, I did that and it didn't work. Well, it takes a while to build a coaching practice. It takes time for people to know about you. And it does take a strong level of commitment to build a coaching business. You can also think about, your demographic and who you used to work with. Charging money. In the previous meditation, we thought about what would be a fair payment for what you have to offer and what feels authentic to you. What you are offering is a valuable service, and it's entirely up to you how much you want to charge. And this is often where a lot of coaches can get stuck. I've been stuck in this. Some people feel guilty. They think it's not spiritual to charge a lot of money. But, we're healers. We're not people who just, walk on water or live on water. We actually have the same commitments, the same responsibilities, the same bills to pay, rent, utilities, internet, phone, everything else that other people also need to nurture their own existence. And we do have to pay for things in life, and what we do is valuable. So it's important to get clear on charging. And I did share a little bit before about working with various clients and noticing that when I really discounted my services or charged very little or nothing for my work, the effect that created for the people I worked with as well. Oftentimes they would not value their experience. They wouldn't show up. They were inconsistent. And there were times when people knew that my prices were premium prices, and they did everything that they could to get that money together, to work together. And I can tell you that probably 70% of the healing happened right there when they did what they needed to do to get it together, to have the money, to show up with the money. What an instrumental part of the healing process that is, because they are choosing to invest in themselves and they value that experience in working with you. And oftentimes I found that the more money that I charged, the more effective coaching and healing became for clients. And this isn't always the case. There's always exceptions. But in general, I found that people that showed up with the money, who were consistent, who paid on time, all of these things are part of the process. And you also being clear about your pricing and your agreements is also part of that process, because that creates safety and trust for your clients as well. And it lets them know how you value yourself. Our worth doesn't all come from just our work and how much we get paid, but how do you value your time and energy and the kind of work that you have to offer? So it's something to think about. Coaches can make anywhere from nothing to $2,000 an hour plus. A typical range is generally $75 to $200 an hour. For executive and leadership coaching, it's generally around $250 to $500 an hour. And you can charge your clients in many different ways. It can be pay as you go individually. For example, $100 to $150 for an hour of your time. You can set up packages such as monthly packages. You can charge your clients quarterly or set up 6-month agreements. I tend to go for short to long-term agreements with clients. So I don't do the pay-as-you-go model because it's very easy for people to not continue their coaching once they get to a hard or sticky part in their coaching agreement. And when they pay as part of a package, they understand that that's a whole experience that they're buying into, and that there's a journey that we take from the time we work together till the end of 4 months or the end of 6 months. And generally people can pay 50% up front and then 50% midway through, or you can charge them all up front. It's up to you how you want people to pay you, but to think about some of these specific logistics in your business. And this is a potential snapshot of income that you can make. I had this available during the webinar. So you'll see that if you just had one client, you met with them twice a month, you charge $50 a session, you'd make $1,200 a year. And then you can start to scale up the more experience you have. If you have 12 clients and you met with them once a week, charge $300 a session. Per month, you could make over $14,000 a month and way over 6 figures. So you can set up all of your work any way you want. Individuals, groups, courses, trainings, however you would like to set that up. It's something to think about, which is your business model. So again, think about the long term. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Like any business, it takes 3 to 5 years to build that up. So if you are thinking about transitioning into coaching, make sure that you have the funds to do it. You have something else there keeping you afloat that's feeding you, or you have savings that you can rely on something, because this is a long-term investment and it's a lifestyle commitment. And it's also a commitment to sharing yourself and what you do, and to not have any shame or guilt or some of those weird or unconscious feelings we might have with really sharing what we love to do and knowing that we can make good money doing it. We'll also have a business kit that's available to you based on the business canvas model. So you'll be able to look at that for what you need to set up the components of your business. And just remember to love yourself through the whole thing. This is probably the most vital component, is to care about yourself, to love yourself, to be kind to yourself, because this is not easy work. I've seen people get isolated because they're working by themselves. They feel alone in it. They feel desperate in it. They aren't able to really express how hard it is to other people. So it's important that you practice self-compassion. Focus on what you want to create. Find support. Find people who are going to support you in this work. Because a lot of times it's you supporting you. And again, if it feels lonely, this is why you might want to join a group, a coaching group, have a coaching partner, somebody you can check in with. Who's your tribe? Who can you talk to online or in person? And make sure that this component is also taken care of. As part of this training course, we want to invite you to join our partner program so that you also feel supported as you launch your own business. And there are many perks to being a partner. You can for example, be listed on our website as a meditation coach. You can also receive referrals, a referral fee if you refer people to our Liberate training program. We can also refer you business when we receive inquiries for meditation coaches. So there are numerous benefits. We will send you a link and invite you, and you can choose whether or not you would like to join. But a big part of this is to stay connected to a network so that you don't feel alone, that you do feel that you're part of something, that you're part of a community. And I think we're at a time now where the doing it alone thing really isn't going to work that well for the level of change and transformation that we need to sustain our global and local economies. So I think by coming together and joining with one another, we can do so much more than just going at it alone by ourselves. So, okay, these are some of the benefits that I shared with you as part of being a Sura Center partner. So in closing, just remember, it's all one. Everything that we've learned throughout the entire course, they're all aspects of one thing, one consciousness, meditation, coaching, healing. They're all aspects to help us get to the core of who we are, to become more self-aware, to become self-realized, to be liberated. But we have all of these tools that can help us and help others. We're all connected, and the more you work in the healing arts, the more you're going to come to understand how intricately interconnected we all are. And as much as it seems that we're separate, and as much as we want to believe that, as you start to work more in the healing arts, you see how connected we are, and that we can use this paradox of separation and oneness, both separation and oneness, to heal and transform. We all have unlimited potential. There's no limits to who we are and what we can do. Think about who you are beyond your gender, beyond your race, beyond your upbringing, beyond your ancestors. Who are you as a spirit? Connect to that place inside yourself, and you will know and you'll feel that you are unlimited in who you are and what you can do. Every single one of us is unique. Unanimity is honoring each of our individual, unique expressions as part of the whole. We don't have to conform. We don't have to be anyone else. We can be ourselves, and we can be free in ourselves and embrace our uniqueness. And that when we really start to embrace our uniqueness, our individual self, really grow into our own individualized consciousness, what a divine expression that is. What a gift it is to honor our own uniqueness. Remember love. Remember your heart. As you're coaching, you're creating, as you're living, and everything that you do, come back to this place and you'll do well. It will not lead you astray. Remember love as you create. Remember to come back to this place. Let's take a minute to close our circle. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who have brought a new element, a new dimension, a new perspective, a new energy into the training, into the group, into my life. And I want to express the profound gratitude that I feel that we can do this together, that we're online from all different parts of the world and we can come together no matter where we are to elevate consciousness, to heal, to transform, to enter these subtle arts and to go deep into that. And I'd like to just close with a minute of just pure gratitude. Thank you and namaste.